Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare Krishna, thank you for joining this morning. Shrimad Bhagavatam class and attentive Japa. We shall make a start, and we are talking about Kapil Muni and his mother Devhuti. Kapil Muni, her son, is explaining to her the Sankhya Yoga philosophy, and we discussed it last week. Now we just continue from there. It's all about dividing the material side of things and spiritual side. What is material, what is spiritual. We should avoid material and we should accept the spiritual. That's the idea. So Kapil Muni continues. Every learned man knows very well that attachment for the material is the greatest entanglement of the spirit soul. But that same attachment, when applied to the self-realized devotees, opens the door of liberation. So what he's saying is that there is nothing wrong with attachment. There's nothing wrong with being attached to something. It's what you attach to is the important thing. Here it is clearly stated that attachment for one thing is the cause of bondage in conditioned life, and the same attachment when applied to something else opens the door of liberation. Attachment cannot be killed. It has simply to be transferred. There's some things we just can't avoid. We just need to improvise in them in a different way. That's all. Attachment for material things is called material consciousness, and attachment for Krishna or his devotee is called Krishna consciousness. Consciousness is therefore the platform of attachment. Despite the statement that one should give up attachment, which is, or we call it desirelessness, is not possible for a living entity. A living entity, by constitution, has the propensity to be attached to something. We see that if someone has no object of attachment, for example, if he has no children, then he transfers his attachment to cats and dogs. This indicates that the propensity of attachment cannot be stopped. So we can't have one thing, then we will use the propensity to get something else, but we must get something. It must be utilized for the best purpose. So it's better if we use it for the best purpose. Here, it is recommended that attachment should be transferred to the self-realized devotees. So the title of this class is Attachment to Sadhu. And who is a sadhu? A sadhu is not just an ordinary man with a saffron robe or long beard. You know, anybody could do that. Anybody could wear a saffron dress and grow a beard, right? So we don't go by the dress of a person, we go by their qualities. It's like somebody wearing a 2-3-piece suit, we automatically assume that they're very intelligent. It doesn't necessarily mean they are, just because they're wearing a suit, they are very intelligent. A sadhu is not just an ordinary man with a saffron robe or long beard. A sadhu is described in Bhagavad-Gita as one who unflinchingly engages in devotional service. Even though one is found not to be following the strict rules and regulations of devotional service, if one simply has unflinching faith in Krishna, the Supreme Person, he is understood to be a sadhu. A sadhu is a strict follower of devotional service. It is recommended here that if one at all wants to realize Brahman or spiritual perfection, his attachment should be transferred to the sadhu or devotee. Lord Chaitanya also confirmed this: love matra sadhu sanga sarva siddhi hai. Simply by a moment association with a sadhu, one can attain perfection. This is the quality of a sadhu. Attachment to a devotee is attachment to the service of the Lord, because if one associates with the sadhu, the result will be that the sadhu will teach him how to become a devotee, a worshipper and a sincere servitor of the Lord. These are the gifts of a sadhu. If we want to associate with the sadhu, we cannot expect him to give us instructions on how to improve our material condition. So if you want to improve your material condition, then you don't go to a sadhu. But he will give us instruction on how to cut the knot of the contamination of material attraction and how to elevate ourselves in devotional service. That is a result of associating with sadhu. So Kapil Muni first of all instructs on that the path of liberation begins with such association. Let's do a quick prayer. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Mukham Kroti Vachalam Pangum Langyate Girim. Yat Kirpatam Ham Vande Shri Guru Din Taranam Pramananda Madhvam Shri Chaitanyeshwaram Hari Om Tassat. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Cheva Narotamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiriyat. Nashta Presha Abdireshu Nittam Bhagavat Sevya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Neshtaki. So we can now discuss who is sadhu a bit more. The symptoms of a sadhu are that he is tolerant, merciful, and friendly to all living entities. He has no enemies. He's peaceful. He abides by the scriptures, and all his characteristics are sublime. That is a sadhu. So if you see these qualities, and this person has all these qualities and also abides by scriptures, then you know this person is sadhu. A sadhu, as described above, is a devotee of the Lord. His concern, therefore, is to enlighten people in devotional service to the Lord. That is his mercy. He knows that without devotional service to the Lord, human life is spoiled. A devotee travels all over the country from door to door, preaching, be Krishna conscious. Be a devotee of Lord Krishna. Don't spoil your life in simply fulfilling your animal propensities. Human life is meant for self-realization or Krishna consciousness. This is what the sadhu does. These are the preachings of a sadhu. He is not satisfied with his own liberation. He always thinks about others. He is the most compassionate personality towards all the fallen souls. And this was like, this example was set by Srila Prabhupada. This is what he tried to achieve. He wanted to, in his short span, when he was in the foreign land, he wanted to get as many people as possible to become Krishna conscious. He's the most compassionate personality towards all the fallen souls. Therefore, one of his qualifications is Karunika, great mercy to the fallen souls. While engaged in preaching work, he has to meet with so many opposing elements. And therefore, the sadhu or the devotee of the Lord has to be very tolerant. Someone may ill-treat him because the conditioned souls are not prepared to receive the transcendental knowledge of devotional service. And you find that even in your own family, you try to preach to them and they will retaliate, thinking, why are you always going Krishna, Krishna, Krishna? Why you always try to preach to us? Why you can't talk normally like everybody else? But that you have to be tolerant with them. They don't like it. That is their disease. The sadhu has the thankless task of impressing upon them the importance of devotional service. Sometimes devotees are personally attacked with violence. Lord Jesus Christ was crucified. Haridas Thakur was caned in 22 marketplaces, and Lord Chaitanya's principal assistant, Nityananda, was violently attacked by Jigai and Madai. So if these exalted people and God himself can be attacked, then who are we to complain? But still they were tolerant because their mission was to deliver the fallen souls. They could understand that these people are not well. They have material disease, and it's not their fault. It's like Jesus Christ said that they do not know what they do. Father, please forgive them, because he knows that they have this disease. They are illusioned. They don't know what they're doing. So the sadhu is merciful because he's the well-wisher of all living entities. He's not a well-wisher of, he's not only a well-wisher of human society, but a well-wisher of animal society as well. Sarva Dehinam, which indicates all living entities who have accepted material bodies. Not only does a human being have a material body, but other living entities such as cats and dogs also have material bodies. The devotee of the Lord is merciful to everyone, the cats, dogs, trees, etc. He treats all living entities in such a way that they can ultimately get salvation from this material environment. So this is all for us. We can also strive to be a sadhu if we can build these qualities, at least start building these qualities. Sadhu means a follower of the spiritual injunctions and a devotee of the Lord. And what does that mean? It means all these characteristics are prominent in a devotee. A devotee develops all the good qualities of the demigods, whereas a non-devotee, even though academically qualified, has no actual good qualifications or good characteristics according to the standard of transcendental realization. We normally find people in high position tend to abuse their position a lot of time. They will misuse it for sense gratification. So, if you are highly academically qualified, or you have a lot of money, or you're in a big position, and if you're misusing it, then you really have no qualification. So such a sadhu agrees in staunch devotional service to the Lord without deviation. For the sake of the Lord, he renounces all other connections, such as family relationships and friendly acquaintances within the world. That doesn't necessarily mean that you just give up and go to the forest. It just means that internally you're not attached to these things. A person in the renounced order of life, a sannyasi, is called a sadhu because he renounces everything: his home, his comfort, his friends, his relatives, and his duties to friends and family. So now we talk about the sannyasi, where he does live, but not as we discussed before. Sannyasi doesn't go to the forest; he still lives and preaches within the community. A sannyasi is generally in the renounced order of life, but his renunciation will be successful only when his energy is employed in the service of the Lord with great austerity. So it's about employing your energy in the preaching mission. Excuse me. A person who seriously engages in the service of the Lord and is in the renounced order of life is sadhu. A sadhu is one who has given up all responsibility to society, family, and worldly humanitarianism simply for the service of the Lord. As soon as he takes his birth in the world, a person has so many responsibilities and obligations to the public, to the demigods, to the great sages, to the general living beings, to his parents, to the family forefathers, and to many others. This is the thing with human life. We have so many responsibilities. When he gives up all such obligation for the sake of the service of the Supreme Lord, he is not punished for such renunciation of obligation. But if for sense gratification a person renounces all such obligations, he is punished by the law of nature. So this is the difference. So as we've said before, that for the sake of devotion service, for sake of devotion, you can give up your dharma. You can't give up your dharma for the sake of sense gratification. So engage constantly in chanting and hearing about me, the Supreme Personality Godhead. The sadhus don't suffer from material miseries because they are always filled with thoughts of my pastimes and activities. This is also explained by sadhu. There are multifarious miseries in material existence. Those pertaining to the body and the mind, those imposed by other living entities, and those imposed by natural disturbances. So Adi Bhautik, Adi Atmik, Adi Devik problems, three types of miseries that we have. But a sadhu is not disturbed by such miserable conditions. So we should not, although we know we have these three miseries, we know they are there. We know we cannot escape. Either we get attacked from them all three at the same time, or we'll get one of them will always be attacking us. This is the material world. This is the nature of the material world. This is the design of the material world. We cannot escape these miseries. Then, it's why should we be surprised that this is happening? This is the way it is. So a sadhu is not disturbed by such miserable conditions because his mind is always filled with Krishna consciousness. And thus he does not like to talk about anything but the activities of the Lord. Maharaj Ambarish did not speak of anything but the pastimes of the Lord. He engaged his words only in glorification of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sadhus are always interested in hearing about the activities of the Lord or his devotees. Since they are filled with Krishna consciousness, they are forgetful of the material misery. So that's one way. If you are, like I said, we always attacked by the three miseries. So to get away from them, you fill your mind, your consciousness with Krishna consciousness, and then these miseries cannot attack you. They're still there, no doubt. These miseries are there. This, like I said, this is a design of the material world. Miseries are always there, but we have a choice whether they attack us or not. Ordinary conditioned souls, being forgetful of the activities of the Lord, are always full of anxieties and material tribulations. On the other hand, since the devotees always engage in the topics of the Lord, they are forgetful of the miseries of the material existence. So this is the choice. And how do we advance in Krishna consciousness? In the association of pure devotees, discussions of the pastimes and the activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is very pleasing and satisfying to the ear and the heart. By cultivating such knowledge, one gradually becomes advanced on the path of liberation. And thereafter, he's freed and his attraction becomes fixed. The real devotion and devotion service begins. So this attraction, it comes in stages. And we know the 9 stages that we know, which begin with Shraddha, some little confidence in the process, and then you take Sadhu Sanga as described here, and then you do Bhajan Kriya, you do service, and you Anartha Nivritti, you get rid of all your attachments and all your sense gratifications and anything that wastes time in Krishna consciousness or moving towards Krishna consciousness. You get rid of that, and then you move on to attachment and taste and bhav and prema. So the process of advancing Krishna consciousness and devotion service is described here. The first point is that one must seek the association of persons who are Krishna conscious and so you have some faith, so you look for association, and who engage in devotion service, and you do bhajan kriya, which is devotion service. Without such association, one cannot make advancement. Simply by theoretical knowledge or study, one cannot make any appreciable advancement. So you have to have association of devotees. You have to start doing service to purify yourself. Otherwise, anybody can learn knowledge in theory. You can just read and read and read. It doesn't mean anything. Just become a scholar. It has to be applied in the right place. That knowledge must be applied. It's applied science. One must give up the association of materialistic persons and seek the association of devotees, because without the association of devotees, one cannot understand the activities of the Lord. General people are convinced of the impersonal feature of the absolute truth. So we hadn't come to Krishna consciousness, we still be believing in the impersonal aspect of the Lord, of the absolute truth. We would not know, we might even know there is Paramatma, but we don't know anything above that. And a lot of the religions tend to just go that far. This is the problem. They might have all the qualities of a sadhu, but they don't go far enough as a devotee, because if you don't know who you're serving, how are you going to serve them? This is a very difficult subject matter, and unless one has personal understanding of the absolute truth, there is no meaning to devotion. Service or devotion cannot be offered to anything impersonal. This is the key. Service must be offered to a person Non-devotees cannot appreciate Krishna consciousness by reading the Srimad Bhagavatam or any other Vedic literature wherein the activities of the Lord are described. They think that these activities are fictional, manufactured stories, because spiritual life is not explained to them in the proper mood. To understand the personal activities of the Lord, one has to seek the association of devotees. And by such association, when one contemplates and tries to understand the transcendental activities of the Lord, the path to liberation is open and is freed. Okay, just a bit more, nearly done there. Thus, consciously engaged in devotional service in the association of a devotee, a person gains distaste for sense gratification. This is the symptom, then this is what happens, both in this world and in the next. By constantly thinking about the activities of the Lord, this process of Krishna consciousness is the easiest process of mystic power. When one is actually situated on that path of devotional service, he is able to control the mind. In all scriptures, people are encouraged to act in a pious way so that they can enjoy sense gratification, not only in this life, but also in the next. For example, one is promised promotion in the heavenly kingdom of higher planets by pious fruit activities. But a devotee in the association of devotees prefer to contemplate the activities of the Lord, how he has created his universe, how he's maintaining it, how the creation dissolves, and how the spiritual kingdom, the Lord's pastimes are going on. They are full of literatures describing these activities of the Lord. Especially Bhagavad-Gita, Krishna explains so many things, especially in chapter 10 and 11, there's so many things like that. And the sincere devotees associated with the devotees get the opportunity to hear and contemplate the subject of the pastime of the Lord. So this one who is fixed in mystic power is not disturbed by the allurement of this world or that world. He is interested in the matters of spiritual understanding of the spiritual situation. This is a difference. And then thus by not engaging in the service of the modes of material nature, but by developing Krishna consciousness, knowledge and renunciation, and by practicing yoga, in which the mind is always fixed in devotional service on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one achieves my association in this very life. For I am the Supreme Personality, the absolute truth. So Krishna has explained here that if you follow this process, you will definitely achieve me. That's his promise. And just finally, one when engages in the spiritual activities of devotional service, naturally he does not get an opportunity to engage in sense gratificatory activities. She mentioned Krishna conscious activities are performed not blindly, but with perfect understanding, knowledge, and renunciation. So there's two aspects. You understand, you have the knowledge, and you also have the service itself. But you don't just have knowledge, which makes you a scholar. You don't just have service without any, that's just a mechanical process. If you're just doing a service, if you don't know who you're doing it for, it has to be Karma Yoga in Krishna consciousness, chapter 5. That is the process. Chapter 3, Karma Yoga. Chapter 4, Gyan Yoga. Chapter 5, Karma Yoga in knowledge, in Karma Yoga in Gyan Yoga, in other words. That is the process. So this kind of yoga practice in which the mind is always fixed upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in devotion results in liberation in this very life. The person who performs such acts gets in touch with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Krishna says once again, so this is so wonderful. So thank you all for joining. My father-in-law ji, Esha, Prakash Mataji, and Prem Prakash Prabhu, I'm sure is there. Jai Prabhu, Parveen Mataji, Subhishya Mataji, and Swapam Prabhu. Thank you for joining, and we'd love to hear your views. And Kapila Muni has stressed so much on association of sadhus. The association of sadhus protects us. It's like they work like a shield. Not only do we acquire their qualities, if you associate with anything you associate with, you get their qualities. But they also protect us like a shield from Maya. In chapter 15 of Bhagavad-Gita, is about associating with devotees, because we have a little world inside us, like a banyan tree, which is actually upside down to a spiritual world. and the upside down world is material, and we're doing everything that we should be doing. We have so many desires, and we need to cut that tree of desires. It's inside us. It's the tree is made of desires. And how we cut it? We cut it through the association of devotees. We get detachment. We learn from them how to detach from these desires, and that tree will ultimately be cut. So thank you so much. Okay, so we have Jai Prabhu, Bharmi Mataji, Srishya Mataji, Sopan Prabhu. Thank you all so much for joining. And okay, so first of all, I think we can go to this question we have from Jai Prabhu. Does a sadhu just need to preach Krishna consciousness, or does he need to be a Diksha Guru, be disciples as well? And can only a male be a sadhu? Okay, very good questions, Prabhu. So you don't have to wait to preach. You don't have to wait to become a sadhu and then I'm not a sadhu, I'm preaching. We are all practicing sadhus. Okay? Srila Prabhupada tells us that we are all practicing devotees. We are practicing to be something. Even if you like Brahman initiated, you are practicing to be a Brahman. Doesn't mean you've taken Brahman Diksha that you automatically become a Brahman. You take Diksha first and then you become. So Diksha, initiation, that's what it's called initiation. It's the beginning. That's where it begins. You have linked yourself to Krishna. And everybody has the qualification to preach. But as long as we know, we have some knowledge, we can preach. So you don't have to be a sadhu stage to preach. We can preach what we know. And we can only preach what we know. We can't preach more than that. So what we know, we should share it, because knowledge by sharing increases, wealth by sharing can sometimes decrease. So be careful of that. But obviously charity is important. You have to give some charity that is very auspicious, and that can help to increase your wealth. But knowledge you can give to anyone, and it is auspicious to do that. And not only male, females are sadhus as well. So females are not recommended to take sannyas, but they can definitely preach. We have our Sarveshri Mataji, who's such a good speaker, and she does wonderful preaching. So she's a very good example of that. I hope that answers your question, Prabhu.
How can one know when someone is genuine sadhu? You should just by qualities. I mean,
so Prabhu missed that.
How can we know when someone is genuinely a sadhu?
Okay, the qualities were given in the reading. I'll just go through that first verse again. So, who is a sadhu? The symptoms of a sadhu are that he is tolerant. So, if somebody gets irritated very quickly, but some people do, they have low level of tolerance, and merciful, friendly to all living entities. He has no enemies. He is peaceful. He abides by the scriptures, and all his characteristics are sublime. So that is a good indicator of sadhu. Although a sadhu might not have all these qualities, but if he has all these qualities, then he's a sadhu.
So you can have all those qualities, but not preach. So does that qualify one as a sadhu?
And not preach, right? That's what he said.
You can have all those qualities, but not preach. So is he still a sadhu?
Sure. Yeah, actually, it's recommended that we do preach, because it is a preaching. It's a Sankirtan movement. It's a preaching movement. ISKCON is a preaching movement. We're following in the footsteps of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu, he did Sankirtan and he preached as well. So we follow his example. And Rupa Goswami, again, he written so many books. We are Rupa Nugas as well. So we should preach that it is recommended. Some sadhus probably don't. There's some sadhus who don't take on disciples, but it's recommended that if you become, if you become to that level, then you become a guru, you'll become a sannyasi. You should take on disciples as well, help them, and let them help you in your in your practice, in your mission to help Srila Prabhupada. So it's a recommendation that they should preach, because we don't want to go back. We don't want to just serve ourselves. We want to serve other people as well, to help them to go back home. And this is what this reading was saying, that a sadhu tries to help as many people as possible. That makes it more fulfilling. If you have knowledge, if you have this quality, then you should help other people. Don't just die, with all the knowledge. Help other people. Srila Prabhupada helped so many people to his last day. He showed them how to live and how to die as well.
Krishna loves his preachers.
And yeah, Krishna loves his preachers. Radharani says, don't forget that Krishna loves his preachers, and that's absolutely right.
So all the Burmese can't teachers. Why don't we call them sadhus then?
Because we are all practicing, Prabhu. We are in a practicing. Why
Okay.
why we don't become or become gurus? We have to reach that stage, and it takes time. We have to go through the process of the 9 points of devotional service. Start
Okay.
and then you build it up.
I understand. Okay. Thank you.
I know exactly what he's saying. In fact, it does say that anybody who's practicing Krishna consciousness is also called a sadhu as well. In some places it says that as well, that you're automatically sadhu if you are chanting the Lord's name. But are we really sadhus? We shouldn't even consider ourselves sadhus, because we know we are practicing and we have a long way to go. There's a Punjabi saying, if a Sikh is like a disciple. And Sikh also means learned. You say, if Sikh gaya, if you say, I am learned, so Sikh gaya, he's gone. So never consider ourselves Sikh gaya, because you will be Sikh gaya, you'll be gone. So there's 2 meanings to the same word. So we never consider ourselves that we are sadhus or we are learned, or that, let your preaching speak. Let the other people think. It's not what we think of ourselves, it's what others think of ourselves, think of us in Krishna consciousness, in spiritual life. That is important. That how do other people see us sadhus? We might think we are sadhus, but do other people consider us as sadhus? That is the important thing. And that will come out in our preaching, in our behavior with other people.
Work in progress.
Yes, and Radharani says that we are work in progress, which we definitely are. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Is that okay, Prabhu? Hare Krishna. Thank you, Roji. Okay, is that Aisha Mataji or Prem Prakash Prabhu? Please reveal.
Hare Krishna, Guruji. It's me. You get it right. Hare Krishna. So it was a very wonderful lecture, Guruji, and the process is very clearly explained from the beginning, saying that one has to recognize first of all, and then one has to recognize that he needs to progress in human life, because that's the only way to live. That's the only platform where we can earn karma, and then any other 84 species of life is where we spend karma. So that's very good. That understanding has to happen. And then we have to find someone who is already in Krishna consciousness. And that was really amazing, because knowingly, unknowingly, we try to seek advice from anyone. I mean, from a superior authority. Let it be anyone. I mean, any person. Even a prime minister would actually try to seek advice from their council. Even a lowest of the lowest, I mean, even a beggar would try to seek advice, which is the best place to ask for alms. Like, so in our life as well, we see that we need advices. And if we have knowledge, then we have gained it from the advice. So like that, we have to find a person in Krishna conscious to get a spiritual acumen to proceed further. And as you have explained also, that who is a sadhu is very important to understand, that anyone who's practicing Krishna consciousness is a sadhu, to be considered sadhu. Not just the one who is actually in a saffron cloth, but also very important to understand that a person could be pursuing on a progressive path of Krishna consciousness. He might not be, we have to actually consider the fact that a person might be pursuing spiritualism not just in Krishna consciousness, but on the path of Krishna consciousness. That is progressive. So eventually, life after life, probably they might come to Krishna consciousness. A person who is worshipping Lord Shiva might get his blessing some point in time, and then actually he can turn to Krishna. And we have seen many of us in our devotee life, basically, who were staunch devotee of Lord Shiva, and they, by the blessings, Lord Shiva's blessing, they turn to Lord Krishna. But sometimes, being a beginner, we don't recognize that, and then we tend to discriminate. And that's what I like to bring in the discussion, because most of the things are already explained. That when we are progressing, we need to respect everyone, and that's very, very important. That's very, very important, and that's the biggest mistake when we do in progressive life. And eventually, by everyone's blessings, whether they be in Krishna consciousness and not in Krishna consciousness, the blessings, if we ask for sincere blessings to progress in Krishna consciousness, whether the person themselves in Krishna consciousness or not, their blessings will still help us in progress in Krishna, further in Krishna consciousness. So with that realization, I just would like to present my views for Vijay. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful realizations. Absolutely. If we want to move from Kanishta to Madhyamadhikari, the difference between them is that the Kanishta only recognizes the deities, whereas the Madhyam recognizes the deities and the devotees as well. He has respect for the devotees. He has no enemies, and he tries to help everyone. And this is how we move forward to become advanced into Madhyam Adhikari. So thank you so much, Prabhu. You're absolutely right. And Praveen Mataji, would you like to say something?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. A very nice class, yes, the importance of devotional service and spiritual master, really. So I was just remembering when we did Nectar of Instruction, one of the shlokas, I'll say, Utsaha Nishchya Dharya Tatat Karma Pravartanat Sangatyagat Satovrite Sadvir Bhakti Prasiddhyati. So it's basically given 6 principles favorable to the execution of pure devotional service. The first one is being enthusiastic. Secondly, endeavoring with confidence. Third, being patient. And fourth is acting according to regulative principles. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. The fifth one, like you said, was abandoning the association of non-devotees. And finally, following in the footsteps of previous acharyas. So these 6 principles undoubtedly assure the complete success of pure devotional service. So we need to be careful of all these things that, how the association of non-devotees, but then at the same time, we need to give them association. We need to tell them about Krishna. So like yesterday, it was a very good opportunity to encourage like our family to listen to Bhagavad-Gita and to, get involved in the Kirtan. So because like in the last days of my mom-in-law, passing, so my husband's family, his sister, his brother were there. So I basically told them, read chapter 2, read chapter 18, and then my brother-in-law, he said, he felt very calm because he's been reading chapter 2. And then because the chanting was going on, and then because yesterday was mom's birthday, and my sister-in-law decided to make a donation to Watford Temple. So which is like giving association to non-devotees, so I can see the results. So, and she said, I'll do that for the rest of my life, probably, which was really good. So we can see we need to give them association. And they did not question me because whatever I was saying, yes, we're going to chant, we're going to read this, and they happily followed. So which I think, it's mercy of Krishna. So I'm so happy for them. So hopefully they will follow in the footsteps, and thank you so much, Prabhuji. Thank you for everybody's, association and all the prayers. Thank you. Very bold.
Very well. And Sureshya Mataji?
Hare Krishna, everybody.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Despite Krishna saying in Bhagavad-Gita that I'm the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But most of the people that do not believe that Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead, they think some other demigod. You tell them so many times, but they won't because they have got no knowledge about it. They don't read Bhagavad-Gita. They have no information. And you can get the knowledge about Krishna with association of devotees or reading the Shastras or inquiring from the Sadhu. You know, there's a Sadhu who's a Krishna conscious. You can ask him if you're not sure. And there are so many sadhus, but a true sadhu is a Krishna conscious person. Their work, their job is to deliver fallen souls from this material world, which are full of miseries, it's like birth, death, old age, and disease. They will give you bhakti. They won't give you gyan vog, dhyan vog. A true sadhu will give you only bhakti of Krishna. And Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, when Arjuna asks about yogas, then Krishna says that for those whose minds are attached to unmanifested impersonal feature of the Supreme, the advances is very troublesome. That means it's very, very hard to get to Krishna if you're not doing bhakti yoga. And the sadhus, they can control their mind, they can control the senses. And because we can't become sadhus because we can't control our mind, our senses. And mind is the leader of the senses. And senses are not that dangerous. I think it's the sense object is more dangerous. Like when we see anything with our eyes, that seeing is sense object, smelling is of sense object, hearing is sense object, then it affects the senses. And that is it's our bondage. Whether we can, if we control the mind and senses, we get liberated. If not, we get bonded. And a good example is given in Srimad Bhagavatam about Ambarish Maharaj, that how he controlled his mind. They give you example. That's how it teaches you how can control your mind. Like his ears, he was hearing the katha with nose. He was smelling the tulsi leaf or flower with eyes. He was seeing the deities in the temple with skin. He was teaching the. He was touching the devotees with legs. You visit the temple. That's how you're gonna use it. So it is Krishna conscious senses. But the same senses you can use in a material sense. You like hear some different kind of songs. You want to go and watch film or something. That it depends on you. But the sadhus, they can control it. They can, and they teach you how to control it. And that the sadhus and real Krishna conscious person, they don't even know want liberation. They don't want to merge into impersonal Brahma Jyoti as well. They leave everything to Krishna, because surrender to Krishna, surrender means you leave it to Krishna what he wants to do. That surrender fibrally, what you do, what Krishna wants you to do. And that's so it's we don't want anything. We leave it to Krishna, whatever he wants to do. And we try to have a session with sadhus. We so many sadhus coming. I mean, the preachers. I mean, they are those who preach. They are called sadhus about Krishna. The truly Krishna conscious preachers. They are real sadhus. And we attempt, we can't, but everybody try to be sadhu, try to teach about Krishna conscious, and be careful about attachment and detachment in this world. So that's how it all this in Bhagavatam that teaches us. It's all the teaching us what to do. So It's not only reading. We have to learn what all these sadhus. And Amrish Maharaj was a king, but you call him sadhu as well. So he was a sadhu as well. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Mike. Thank you. That's wonderful explanations there, Mataji. Absolutely right. And you're right, it's how that senses and mind you mentioned, it's so right that sometimes the ladies, they are called Maya, but it's not that the ladies are Maya, they are also living entities, their souls, they are equal with the men, just they have different qualities to the men. Men don't have their qualities, they don't have the men's qualities, that's fine. But it's not, the problem is not with the ladies, it's if a man sees a woman as Maya, it's only because it's his own propensity or his desire to exploit her. That's what makes her Maya. Otherwise, she's a sister, he has a sister, he has a mother, he has a daughter, but he sees some other woman, he wants to exploit her, then suddenly she becomes Maya. So it is on, the problem is within ourselves, not out there, not in the lady. The problem is inside us. It's our exploiting nature that makes it like that. And also sannyasis is mentioned that they're not supposed to speak to women at all, that they shouldn't associate with women, but that's on a material platform. This is why the sannyasis now, they're preaching to male, female, they're preaching to everyone. They have female disciples. On Krishna conscious level, you can associate, but not on material level. That is a difference. So thank you so much, Mataji. We'd like to start, Shobham Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam, everyone. Yeah, Prabhuji, obviously you mentioned a lot of good things, Mataji and the other devotees. They've mentioned everything, and it's fantastic. I think I think the class you chosen is very, very, very good. It's quite, not many people speak about it really, but you're a sadhu yourself, so Prabhu, you're spreading Krishna consciousness. All the devotees are, and all I can say really is, Prabhupada said real love is to actually give someone Krishna. So sharing knowledge, I like that part when you talked about sharing knowledge, telling people about Krishna, how to do Krishna seva, how to serve devotees. So I think if you, from your heart, if you have love for Krishna, you should have love for everyone, and then try to give this Krishna to as many people as you can. And the only way, even the Shastras, even our Gurudevs have said, to learn about Krishna, to get Krishna from, you have to approach a sadhu, a Vaishnava, a Guru, because they have Krishna, like in that song, Krishna se tumar Krishna dite paro. So that means you have got Krishna and you can give Krishna to other people. So we should approach sadhus, devotees, serve them and respect them and hear from them and learn from them. I think it's such a wonderful thing. That's the only way. We can't go to someone else, as you were saying, who is a jnani, who just maybe has got knowledge and read the books. They can give you so much, but I think people who've practiced and served Krishna, they can give knowledge and Krishna to us. So I'd like to end there. I think everyone's covered everything anyway, so there's not much extra really to say other than the other thing as well, really, I would say is even Prabhupada, when he used to give classes, he used to say, look, I'm not saying anything new. This is nothing new. This is coming from Krishna 5,000 years ago and it's passed down. And he's only repeating what his Gurudev told him. So, if we can, we should repeat what Prabhupada said, or other devotees, other Gurudevs, even, it doesn't have to be just Prabhupada, as long as they're a bona fide spiritual master, we can hear from them and we can repeat what they say. And that's what it's about. It's just passing it on from generation to generation. And then that's the way only Krishna consciousness will, spread and will always stay there. So yeah, thank you. Thank you for letting me speak, Prabhu. Sorry if I said anything wrong.
No.
And yeah, have a good Krishna consciousness day, and my pranams to everyone.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for doing that, right? Thank you. Very good. Okay, Mataji, shall we just do one round? I think time's passing by. We'll just do the one round if that's okay. Sureshi Mataji, would you like to do that round?
Hare Krishna. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna